We interviewed Brian McNamee 3 times. The first interview occurred in July 2007. It was at Senator Mitchell's law office in New York. Present were Mr. McNamee's counsel, Senator Mitchell, and members of his staff, including me, as well as some federal law enforcement officials. At the very outset of the interview, Mr. McNamee was informed that he faced criminal jeopardy only if he failed to tell the truth. Senator Mitchell could not have been more clear in following up on that, saying that all Senator Mitchell wanted was the truth and the complete truth. After that introduction, Senator Mitchell asked the lion's share of the questions, and the interview with Mr. McNamee proceeded much as many of the other 700+ interviews that we conducted were just seeking to find the truth. I occasionally asked a question, federal law enforcement officials occasionally asked a question. But for the most part, it was Senator Mitchell doing the questioning, and he made clear he wanted the truth, and the federal law enforcement officials made clear that Mr. McNamee faced criminal jeopardy if he failed to tell the truth. There was then a second interview by phone in October 2007. Again, these same warnings were provided to Mr. McNamee. And again, we went over the information. Finally, there was a third interview in November 2007. At that time, I read to him the statements in the draft report which we had attributed to Mr. McNamee to make sure that they were 100% accurate. We told him at that time, this is what we understood he had told us before. If there was any corrections, we wanted it corrected because we wanted the information to be 100% accurate as best he could recall. He made a couple of minor corrections immaterial to these proceedings, and then we went forth from there.
So just so that we're all clear on this, at the first in-person interview, Senator Mitchell was not just reading questions from a transcript of something that had transpired between the federal investigators and Mr. McNamee. He actually created his own questions and asked those. Is that right?
That is absolutely correct.
I'm just going to wrap up. I don't have any more questions on this. Obviously, this is a hearing to try and assess the efficacy of that Major League Baseball report. And we've all tried, I think, certainly I have tried to come here with an open mind and provide everybody an opportunity to address what seem to be apparent inconsistencies in a lot of the testimony. We've heard the questions about those inconsistencies. Some of the troubling things that still out there are mindful that Mr. Knobloch confirmed Mr. McNamee's statements, that Mr. Pettit confirmed them, that in contemporaneous conversations apparently that Mr. Pettit had with his wife, she confirms that those conversations with Mr. Pettit occurred. Some of the questions about Mrs. Clemens taking the HGH and having side effects and no follow-up on that. I just think there's a lot of open questions. Mr. McNamee's credibility as well on this. We're going to have to go back to the record and take a look at all the transcripts on this thing to make a decision. I do make note, though, Mr. Chairman, it made an opportunity for people not to have a hearing on this. I hope that the hearing, and now that's transpired, has satisfied all of the witnesses here that they've had their opportunity to address any of the inconsistencies or uncertainties. I thank the Chairman for conducting the hearing, Mr. Davis for his participation and cooperation as well, and yield back.
Thank you, Mr. Tierney.
Mr. Chairman, I have a parliamentary inquiry.
Yes.
I have that both Mr. Burton and Mr. Westmoreland and much of the national public, when they heard the taped conversation live on national TV, heard this expression, "It is what it is," and none of us are prototypical New Yorkers. I actually asked a New Yorker on the floor, and he said that is not only Mr. McNamee expression, a New York expression, before I told the truth. Would it be appropriate in the record to have some discussion of that phrase, because it's a very pivotal phrase that has been nationally debated? And
we'll hold the record open if you want to submit some documentation, and whatever it is, we'll put in the record.